Bryan, so good to see you again. Thank you for coming back on.
Well, I thank you for having me back on. I know I was supposed to be back on a couple of times, but we like different not times, and unfortunately, well, life gets in the way of certain things. So
Right.
it made it a little bit more difficult. And I think just after the last time I was supposed to come on, um, it's almost coming up on a year. Maybe it was before or after I did it, but I had a heart attack on March 2nd,
Right.
and and I think it was I think yeah, from that point forward I didn't come on, or was supposed to come on. I don't remember, but it's good to see you again. Happy
Yes,
New
it's
Year.
great to see you.
A
Happy
blessed
New
New
Year
Year.
to you.
Yes.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And I'm good to see that you're in good health,
yeah, I
doing
mean
well.
my family's killing me, but yeah.
Well, that's a whole nother topic, right?
Two daughters and a wife. Yeah, they're killing me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Tell me about it. 51 and I have a 7 and an 8-year-old. Whew, it's wearing me out sometimes.
yeah, sometimes sometimes it's better to wait a little bit. I
Yeah.
wish I did, I wish I was able to do the parenting thing earlier. Um, but it didn't work out. And then, in I've learned that God works in, when you need to, he'll
Mysterious.
get you there. So
Mysterious ways for sure. Yeah.
yeah. I don't really like that
Yeah.
saying, but yeah, he's just
Yeah.
like yeah, with the first one, the first kid she was great, like slept. You could light like M80s off in the house and she'd be like, she's out, perfect. And then they dull you,
Yeah.
they get you into that, like, oh, they were so good. Let's have another one. Then the second was just
The second one's never the same.
when she came out after she was like, when you're doing that ultrasound thing, right? Which is just weird to begin with. She would always have her fist in front of her face. So
Uh,
we'll go to the right side and she'd go like this. And then there's a picture of her when she just came out. They said, Dad, why don't you go with the baby to the nursery? And you stand in the window like you're at a zoo of
yeah.
kids, whatever. And she's on there and she's crying and they put the hat on her and they put the bracelet on her and she's, totally naked. And I swear to God, I have this photo. She's lying there and her fingers like this. And if you know my daughter, that is literally who she is. She's
That's her
awesome.
attitude. Yeah.
She's an old soul. But yeah, she's like F you
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's good to be
And
back.
props to you. Props to you for remembering all that because most dads don't remember those kind of details about ultrasounds and stuff. So that's very cool.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I have that photographic memory, audiographic memory, and I choose to use it when I want to.
that's awesome. So we're going to talk about spirit tethers and
Yeah.
why ghosts are grounded here on Earth instead of going to the next plane where they're supposed to go to. But first, I want to ask you your thoughts on this whole Miami, Florida alien thing with all the cops and stuff, because I personally wonder if it wasn't some kind of energy burst or something that happened. And you live in Florida, so what's your
I,
take on all this?
I just moved to Florida. I'll tell you, I have some videos I posted on YouTube, Sir Bryan Bowden, one word. That's my account, and you'll see the UFO videos. On December 11th, I went out with my youngest to go get some food, and I saw a fleet of 7 UFOs with her,
Oh, wow.
and they were flying north. They were flying south to north, and I'm fumbling for the phone at that point. What happened was I'm at this light. It's very light traffic. It's like 7-Eleven in the evening. I think it was the 10th. So I don't know if it's a Sunday or whatever it was. It was really, really light out, no, like no traffic. And I get to this light and I see these three craft coming. So there's one in the lead and then there's two at the end. So if you connected the dots, it would be a triangle, right? So it's a delta pattern in flight. And I'm looking at it, but the red color it's bigger than normal and it looks very much the movement's drone-ish, right? Like a drone, like
Right?
one of those things. And then the rear right side dot elongates and breaks off into two. And I'm
Cool.
fumbling for my phone, and my daughter's like,
Right, right.
Dad, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, just video out the window, And I'm videotaping
So
with
cool.
the iPhone, which is the worst thing to videotape with. So I captured some video on that. It disappeared within like a minute or so. It was gone and couldn't find it. I went searching for it. You should have been able to see it. Totally gone. And then fast forward to December 29th, my youngest had she's an old soul and she sees things. And when kids are younger, no matter if it's male or female, they are connected to the spirit world. They see things that
Yes.
when they tell you they see grandpa, they're looking up at grandpa and they're smiling or whatever it is.
Hmm.
They're seeing grandpa or grandma
Absolutely. Yeah.
or they're seeing monsters because they're using both sides of their hemisphere of their brains, and
Right.
they haven't been, that real knowledge. I always thought that when babies are born, when we're born, we come to this world with all the knowledge you ever need to know, like how to cure cancer, how to cure this.
Yes.
Then by going through the education process, they squeeze that out of you to make room
Hmm.
for garbage.
Right.
Right.
100%.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Right. So, you know, she gets a little bit nervous. She listens to some of my interviews, so I had to be careful. Like I talk about Dog Man, Bigfoot, and some other scary stuff, whatever. And but she was like, "Wow, that's my first UFO." And she gave me a fist bump, and I said, "Honey, that's 7 UFOs." And she's like, "Oh
Right.
my god." And she asked me just a couple of days earlier, like, do you think we'll ever see those things again? Come on. We went back to the store like a week later, or like week and a day later, and she was like, "Please, let's see some UFOs." She was like wanting to see a UFO, and I'm like, they don't just appear. It's it is rare, um, and so we didn't have it, but she had a friends over. They were off from school, so she had 3 or 4 of her friends sleep over, and I went out to the back deck. We live in a 2-story, but I have like a back area where I can sit there, have a cigarette or two. I have a TV on the wall if I want it, and I just relax there, go through some news and whatever. And it's about 10:30, and I get up to go back into the house, and these kids are up anyhow. They're like, "We're gonna stay up all night." I'm like, "Okay," Um, and I see this UFO. I mean, it's flying towards me. It's flying from the west, heading, to the south. North, like more west north than northwest. If you can understand that. Um, and it's orange, and it's like as a center that's more orange, and then there are these red spikes that come off of it through the naked eye. I immediately took the phone out. I start recording, and then I'm like, "Holy crap!" And I open, you'll hear it, and I open the door. I'm like screaming her name to get it, Jordan, Jordan, Jordan. And she comes, "What is it?" And she goes, "Oh my God, they're back!" And we're explaining to him, and it goes for about a minute or two, and I'm following the whole thing, and then it goes in the distance, and it goes poof, and it disappears.
Wow.
So around after that, couple like a day or 2 days later, after the January 1st, 2024 incident at the Miami Bayside Mall, where people reported seeing 8 to 10 foot extraterrestrials there. There wasn't much footage, wasn't much, anything that came out. There's just these reports. They're coming from wherever. And so I'm
Hmm.
looking at some of this stuff, and my friend's like, "Dude, what's going on with the aliens at the mall?" And I'm like, maybe they're going to shop or return their gifts this year. I mean, like, I thought it was a joke, you know.
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, dude, it was like 8 to 10 aliens, 8 to 10 foot aliens there." I'm like, "Okay, go." I start looking, and I see some posts. I see the video of the 60 plus cars, police cars coming down. Find
Yeah.
out.
And like FBI cars too.
I didn't know about the FBI. I haven't heard anything about that yet. But so this is the whole thing. So there are different reports apparently being made that there's a group of kids with sticks and fireworks harassing people at
Right.
the mall. And then there's people calling and reporting that there are 8 to 10 foot extraterrestrials that are running after people and attacking people.
Right.
and they're glitchy. And then on top of that, so the police officers are right at the mall. They send these police officers there, and they had I think over 60 cars. Sorry, I have the hiccups right now, and I apologize. They have over
That's okay.
60 cars there, and roughly two officers per car. So that's 120 police officers that are responding. They shut the power off to 61,000 over 61,000 homes, basically to the mall, which shuts that off.
Right.
There's no air traffic coming out of Miami International. And um there's reports of black helicopters in the air.
Right.
So there's a guy recently from and I forgot his name, from the Museum of Tarot, that says this is all bunk, and he heard the traffic, the police comms, and there's nothing about this. It was just these kids, and there's no report of the airport being shut down because they can see tape from an aviation program, whatever. And this is all bunk. And why'd they do it? Because they released the Epstein list. And I'm like, well, I got different information. First and foremost, um, there's in the video that I was able to see outside the mall, there was something very strange that was walking from left to right outside.
Hmm.
It seemed, given that this video is taken from a bird's eye view in an apartment building down, in
Hmm.
relationship to the size of this object moving, in relation to the stuff surrounding them and the mass that you can see, this thing was a big entity, whatever it was. And it has that, it's there's nobody here that's 10 feet tall that I'm aware of in the planet anymore. I mean, there are some
Yeah.
giant people, like Andre the Giant was pretty tall, but we're talking about a 10-footer, and it's big,
Yeah.
and it doesn't care, just walking casually as if the police couldn't see it. You kind of couldn't see full detail because it seemed to be absorbing the light around the police, the blue lights and whatever. Some people said it's a projector. There was no projector there. Um, there's eyewitness report. People are now starting to come forward that they were at the mall. There was a gentleman that said he was at Foot Locker, and this gentleman recanted his story, but from what I understand, people are being harassed by talking any more about this. They don't, by whoever the powers that be. Said he was in the Foot Locker with his girlfriend, and he heard this commotion and people screaming and running. And then he heard what sounded like gunshots. And he said, naturally, you're going to grab and go. And when he was going out, he saw these creatures that were glitchy and going, in and out, and they were going after the crowd. They would go disappear, and then they would appear closer to them. And that was eyewitness reports were saying the same thing. One report said that something grabbed a child, but I'm trying to find more information about that. That was one eyewitness. Another eyewitness was somebody who was a graffiti artist who said he was in town for some kind of graffiti work or convention or something, and he's standing up on like another level, and he sees these kids, and he's looking down on a couple of these kids there, and they have what he says look like a DVD player, like a boombox DVD player, and it had some lights on it, and they're arguing like, you turn it on, no, you turn it on. And then they turn it on and it starts to hum, and the lights start popping and dimming. Some people came over to it, and then the next thing you know, it really started to spark, and this whole like circle orb went around the area, and they were like, what the hell is that? And he said that they saw a big black foot come out, then like a hand, and then the head come out. And by that time, people started, running. Everybody started getting out of there. Um,
Okay.
and what was interesting, come on, we live in a day and age where there should be video, especially in an urban environment.
Hmm.
It's not like in the middle of the woods. Like, how come you don't have any Bigfoot
Right.
video? Well, I was actually out at nature, not videotaping myself. It was just out, right? So none of the video has yet to surface. There's reports that the cameras were corrupted in the mall. Okay. And also, people are reporting that they were not allowed out of the mall without, the going to the police first, and they were looking on people's phones and deleting stuff from the phones. That's what's going on there. And
Right.
this is where we are right now. Then you have all the
I,
people, trying to get up on the AI imagery of aliens in a mall, which
mm-hmm.
is all BS.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some witnesses lined up. They don't want to talk at this point. I thought they would want to. They were hesitant because they were being harassed. And I said, "Who are you being harassed by?" There's these people. I don't know. Call it men in blacks and suits. They're bothering us. They say, "Don't talk about anything." Said, okay. But the glitching part of it, I was talking to a couple of buddies of mine, and I thought immediately about this whole process. So we have a lot of coronal mass ejections taking place. We're in an
Mm-hmm.
11-year cycle. It's really bad right now. And
Yep.
when it's really, really bad, um, like it's so bad that there's a huge hole in the sun. You can put 1,000 or a
Right.
million Earths in. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how big this largest hole is.
Yeah.
And I had a theory. Oh, one more thing about the mall location, which is very interesting. The GPS location of the mall, if you reverse it, supposedly takes you to Antarctica, which is interesting.
Really?
Yeah, really. You can go to the mall, put it in, and you can look up the
Oh.
GPS data and then just flip it. Yeah, and it's supposed to take you to a base in Antarctica. So my
That's
theory,
fucking awesome.
yeah, that is awesome. But my theory is that the glitching taking place is very interesting because these could have been interdimensional or different timelines. They may not have actually have been there, but they're free to roam still. And the
Mm-hmm.
glitchiness could be that they didn't have enough power to actually commit into transformation from point A to point B. I use it as this. Well, you'll understand this because I understand it. Those days where sometimes you could watch like before cable, you'd have TV antennas, and sometimes you tune to a station, they had a dial, and we were the remote controls, folks.
And the antenna.
Yeah. Go left, stay
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But if you turn to channel 9, right, and you got the antenna, you can fine tune the tuning by
Yeah.
spinning a little bit more of the dial. So it was like a double dial,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there were times, and I've seen this myself, and you see this with photographs, you see this almost everywhere, where you had two different programs going at once.
Yeah.
One's a little more glitchy. That's what I look at it as, that there was
Yeah.
something interceding, preventing them to fully come through. And one of the reasons why they shut the power off at the mall is that they didn't have the ability to manifest. I really do believe
Gotcha.
that there are I believe that they are aware that these beings were coming or were supposed to come or entered and went in the wrong spot. And I believe that the coronal mass ejections being so large and inconsistent created a reverse type of shift in the pole in the magnetic field. So if you're supposed to go to point here, A, what happens is
There's
because
yeah.
you're reversing it, you're going to go to point B, thinking you're going to A, and you're like, oh, where the hell are we?
Right.
And that's why I think they shut down the airport, and there was black helicopters, and they came up with this story, and only 5 kids or 4 kids were arrested. I mean, it doesn't make sense. There's a gentleman from the Museum of Terror, forgot his name, and he said all this stuff is, it's all fake. And he said, I listened to not once on the police scanner did they say anything in reference to aliens or extraterrestrial. This was something else. These were kids and a car club or whatever, drag racing. And as far as the no airport and no flying in the airport, look at the video yourself because there's a lot of aviation sites where you can capture the video logs of X, Y, and Z. And he
Mm-hmm.
goes, this was somebody made this up and somebody ran with it, and it's all BS.
Right.
Well, I hate to burst the guy's bubble. Okay. But all the data and information that he was talking about can be faked and can be replaced.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
and
could
my
yeah.
sources said that the police actually shut off their scanners, and many of them are now under their own gag order. And
All
some
under
of the
their
footage that I yeah, some
yeah.
of the footage that I saw showed the big white SUVs with the tinted windows, which I believe is probably FBI or something like that.
It's probably a some federal agency or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, you know what? There was a kid on TikTok whose father is in the police, Miami police, or one of them. Apparently, he's running for
Mhm.
sheriff or whatever, police commissioner. I forgot what it is. And my dad tells me everything, right? That's what he said. And he goes and he calls up his dad. He goes, Dad, what the hell? Well, what happened down in Miami? He's like, I can't talk about it. I'm not allowed to talk about it. And he kept
Right.
saying it. And he was like, what do you do? I'm not allowed to talk about it, you know?
Right.
So, um, and so again, getting back to the museum Tethered, and it's no disrespect. I have their products. They're really nice stuff. Some of their product, most of their stuff. Um, but those flight aviation things, you can literally take the same, data that you would have gotten and recorded and just in copy a section or a portion of it from that
Yeah.
area, which is in there, and just change date and time material.
Right. Right.
It's really not that difficult. As far as the scanner information, that too can be changed.
Mhm.
You know, and that can be changed very quickly and uploaded.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other things. So you can't just say you sat on your ass someplace and you debunked everything when you're not even giving consideration that these things can be altered. Um,
Right.
you know,
And so, and that energy pulse I mentioned, you agree though that this energy pulse happened, right? Some type of energy surge happened.
I believe it was outside of this planet, and I believe that yeah, there was some kind of, I don't know, astronomical event that prevented certain things. And totally, this has happened before. You miss your course, you're off, you go through a magnetic field, things are off,
Mhm.
or you're traveling from point A to point
Right.
B, relying on certain coordinates, and you have a actually, if you have a solar flares, um, they shut down a lot of the GPS things because it affects the GPS computers.
Right. That's right.
So if it can affect our hardware up in space, you don't think it can affect an interdimensional being or a parallel
Oh,
universe being?
right.
So I think there's a lot more to this, and down the line
Mhm.
we'll probably find out some more, and somebody will release some stuff. Somebody released
Yeah.
an image of the creature, and they described it. I don't really watch Stranger Things, um, but they described, some people are saying it's like a demigorg from Stranger Things. I don't know if you watch Stranger Things.
Mm-mm, no, I haven't.
It's like a creature. So Stranger Things is based on the Montauk chair.
Okay.
And 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 they supposedly brought a beast in and released the beast, and they had to go get rid of it or somehow. So people said that's what this being looked like. And then of course you get people. It was Nephilim because they're 8 to 10 feet tall, right? So
Right.
you got to throw the religious side into it, which is interesting
Right.
because they did say
Well,
in, what is it, in the end of days it will be like the days of
as
Noah,
it was in the days of Noah.
right? And what
And
happened in Noah?
yeah,
Giants.
there were
Why do you think?
giants.
Why do you think there was a flood to get rid of the
Yeah.
Nephilim? So, I
Right.
mean,
And
but
I personally believe this whole binary star thing and cyclical stuff, and the reason that the sun is going off its kilter is because of the whole Nibiru thing coming back. So,
there's there is, I mean, there is something up there by that sun, and
yes, there is.
so
Yes,
it's a
there is.
different orbit, right? If we're orbiting
Yeah.
on the horizon, like, just do an ellipse on the horizon.
Yeah. It's more elliptical.
Turbo's perpendicular to it. So it's
Right.
more like the route of the sun, but I mean, and
Hmm.
from what they're saying, it's ginormous. It's
Yeah.
like Jupiter or Pluto coming to you. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the closer it's getting to the sun, the more that they're fighting each other.
Well, it fights there, and then you have the Earth changes that are taking place because it's going to
Right.
affect our the
Poles and
gravity
everything.
and the poles, and
Hmm.
there's I don't think it's as made up as people would like it to be.
No, I
Um,
don't either. I've been
no,
researching this topic for almost 30 years.
yeah, and it's there's even reports that the Anunnaki, which would be on that planet Nibiru or X or what do you want to call it, are
Hmm.
reports that they know they're back already. And
Right.
I know somebody who I'm very good friends with. He's been making these claims for years, and I take it with a grain of salt. But basically, he's a hybrid. His father is human from Earth. His mother is not from Earth. They are Anunnaki, and he's a mixed breed. And he said certain things for years. Like I've been friends with him for like well over a decade, and you hear it, and I'm very respectful. I'm like, well, and I'll tell him like I'm not really buying that, right? I need
Hmm.
more information, and he started saying some stuff about things that were taking place the last couple of years that nobody else was saying. This wasn't something that they got on TikTok or any of this stuff.
Hmm.
And
Right.
he basically validated what he he validated himself, and he's definitely a hybrid. And he even says that his people are back, which would be the Anunnaki, and the different
Yeah.
types of Anunnaki. But we're not gonna get that
Right.
right.
Right. And there's been a lot of attention on the giants as of the past year or so too.
It,
A lot of focus on
yeah, everybody wants to
giants being
think
seen.
yeah, exactly. Everybody wants to, there's a giant on the hill, there's a giant on that
Hmm.
rock. Um, and I gotta say, I've seen some of these videos, and if that is a pretty big whatever it is on the mountain that's moving around, I mean, like that's significantly large. And if that's real, you're
Hmm.
you're talking you could be talking a 50-foot.
Yeah. I mean, that's not even Bigfoot. That's so big.
Yeah.
Like it's
There are
bigger than
reports of
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. There are reports of Bigfoot 25 feet tall.
Really?
Yeah, in the Pacific Northwest,
Oh, wow.
there was a gentleman out there. They were interviewing. I think it was Ron Moorhead that was talking about it. It's in his book Quantum Bigfoot. Great book. Go get it. It explains so much. Um, and I was like, I became friendly with Ron, and I'm like, you have no idea how important this is. Where I was going with this, and I was writing stuff down, and you just thank you. You validated where I was going from my own research and
Yeah.
experiences and interactions. And in the book, they was interviewing someone who's in the area, and they said, well, can you have you ever seen these Bigfoot before? And he was like, yeah, I've definitely seen these things. And he says, well, what did it look like? And he said, King Kong. And I'm like,
Oh,
he's
wow.
like a monkey. He goes, no, King Kong. King Kong. It must have been 25 feet tall.
Jesus. I couldn't
And
imagine seeing one that big. That would probably scare
he
the
said it
crap
walked
out of
through the forest and the trees went down to like nothing. Its head was above it and it was walking. Now, I don't believe they're here that large all the time because they would stick out like a sore thumb.
me. Yeah.
Right. But I do believe they go other dimensions. And I think they have the ability to be flesh and blood or interdimensional and this area in between.
Right.
And I think if they're coming back here and they're 25 feet tall, then you're looking at something that is just here making a quick visit, like trying to find their kids at the shopping center, like, let's go
Right.
now. And then they go. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I'm with you on the pulse and all that stuff. Something definitely took place. Something weird's taking place now.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely
off the
something
chart,
weird going
right?
on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you noticed how off the chart things are? It's like
Oh,
we're in
yeah.
crazy land.
Even we are, and even like the Schumann resonance is really picking that up lately. Like the vibrations that usually would be like humans pulse and stuff, you can see it spiking all over the place. And this, I mean, I watch it to see how well the light workers are doing and how well people are waking up and stuff, but this is like a whole different kind of movement happening, a whole
This
different kind of
is
energy happening.
this is really, intense. It's super intense, you
Yeah.
know. And
I think
light
we're changing
workers,
timelines or something.
well, there's let's talk a little bit about that. So they said that 2021 we moved into a different timeline, and now we're moving on to another different timeline. There's talk about moving people. We're in a 3D world.
Yeah.
And then there's 4D, 5D, 6D, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And you get forward. There's talk that we're moving into a 4 and 5D world, and there are going to be people that are going to go and
Mhm.
people that are going to get left behind.
Right.
Um, and I'm trying to, figure out the whole thing there. But yeah, I mean, like, there are people because of whatever's going on in this world, and I think it has a lot to do with good and evil battling. There are
I
good
do
people
too.
and bad people, and what they're
I
doing
think that's what it's
is
really all about.
right. It's and it may not be just God versus the devil, but I do believe it is. Um, I it's like flicking. I call it like flicking on a light switch. You have those two
Yeah.
light switches in the house. If you have two kids and they turn it on, and the other one shuts it off, and then they turn
Yeah.
it off, and then they turn it and on, off, on, and off.
Mhm.
I've noticed because I do readings. I do remote. I do the remote view, which I do
Mhm.
personal readings, light worker work,
Yep.
and I always tell anybody I'm reading me, please give me I want markers when it happens. So
Mhm.
if I see you're at a shopping mall and it's July and there's something strange happen and it happens, I'm saying I'm at the mall. What you just said happened, and I'll mile mark it because I can know if it matches my roadmap of when things will take place. And the way I judge, this is how I operate. Everybody that's a light worker is different, but um, for example, I'll see a calendar and I'll see June and July. I'll see both and I'm like in the middle. I know it's going to happen around June and July. If I just see July,
Mhm.
it's July. Then sometimes they'll let me
Right.
see dates or near the dates, so I know when
Mhm.
these things happen. They've been playing around with CERN so much, and I think the goal is they're trying to change our timeline to the evil timeline
Yeah.
because
They're trying to fight all of us that are waking up. Yeah.
well, yeah, they're trying to push us to the evil, but
Mhm.
there's a force that's greater. It's saying no, 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 no. And
Yep.
I've noticed us kind of going like a zigzag pattern.
Right.
It'd be like
Right.
really, really bad. Then somebody like, nope, reset. We come
Yep.
back, and the next thing you know, all these political leaders like, I'm retiring, and then they retire, and then something they bring us back, and then like
Yep.
oh, it's the plague again, and it's crazy
Yeah.
what's going on. So
Yeah. It's been like a
yeah,
yo-yo.
yeah, it's really freaking terrible what's going on. But
Yeah.
that's what I think. I think with CERN ramping up and them trying to open portals and timelines and manipulate stuff, that's why we're having such. That's adding to the craziness. It's just like the whipped cream
Yeah.
and cherry on the top, you know.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
and it's also, I mean, I'm getting reports from a lot of light workers are having a hard time doing what they do. Like they're
Mhm.
purposely being blocked, which is very interesting because there are moments where I try to sit down and get into that mode to do an
Yep.
RV work or a session, and it just doesn't work. It just not I'm not keying in on these things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's when we got to blast past all that because yeah, I agree. They're trying to block us from doing
Oh
our
yeah.
work.
Oh yeah. It's insane what's going on, but
Mhm.
keep going, keep emerging, don't let them scare you.
Yep.
don't push the envelope too much where you're going to get hurt from it, because these
Right.
people have no morals and they'll take you out without even thinking about it.
Right.
But push back a bit and keep emerging. That's what you want
Yes.
to do.
Absolutely. Now, let's get into this tether talk about the ghosts, okay?
Yes.
First, I just want to say that I've kind of I'm kind of leaning toward the conclusion that people who can see ghosts are people who have experienced like near death experiences or are just very extremely psychic. Sometimes both. In my case, it's both. But from many of the people that I've spoken with that can see the ghosts, they all have that in common, the near death experience. So that's an interesting poll maybe to take with people. Also, I wanted to talk about why ghosts would be stuck here. We always talk about ghosts needing to go to the light and helping them to go to the light. And there's so many different programs and shows that you've been involved with,
Yeah.
some of them as well, where you're ghost hunting, right? And I want to find a way to do the release for them, right? Help them to find their way to the light. Um, and in watching a mini series called The Rising, I was telling you earlier,
Right.
I kind of came to this conclusion, I think, that one of the reasons that ghosts can be tethered here is if their body is missing and it can't be found, they don't want to leave without their body being found,
Right.
to have that resolved. Maybe it was a murder and they want that resolved. But also, living people like you and I can create a tether, such as, um, you know, as
Mother
horrible
child.
as an experience as it is, parents
Yep.
who lose a young child
Yep.
or any child really, and then they, kind of create a shrine and don't get rid of any of their belongings, and it sort of creates that tether because to me it never made sense that we would have baby ghosts, infant ghosts, little children ghosts unless there's something that's holding them here. And I know that in Native American beliefs, when someone passes, you burn all of their belongings with them to
Right.
release them completely. So, what are your thoughts on
Well, I mean, you're hitting on a lot of, no pun intended, chords.
that?
Because we're talking about
It's a
tethered.
cord cutting, right?
It's a cord
It's a
cutting.
cord cutting.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a multiple things here, right? So when you have sometimes, okay, we're going to talk about heaven and hell, earth in the middle, and between each one of them is an ether. Okay.
Okay.
And depending on what kind of individual you are, you're going to go to one or the other. And I believe there is a
Mhm.
hell and there is a heaven, and they all have, um, you know, different levels. Think of it as a pyramid. And the the better, the more wholesome and true and pure you are, the higher you go. So like if you're born, you have a baby, and the baby a couple months later dies, that baby didn't do anything wrong. It goes up to the top of the
Right.
ladder.
Hmm.
Then if you have like family members that were just really bad with each other, like they didn't really kill anybody, but they really made lives miserable, they may not go all the way up to the top. But each level, depending on where you are, is where you messed up. You're taught that. You're like, this is where you screwed up. You got to fix it. And then you go through a whole process, and you have the opportunity to stay at that level and have to kind of like constantly go to work and to improve yourself until X amount of period of time, or you pass certain things, or you can go back and then relive your life as reincarnated and not make those mistakes again and do better. Same thing happens with hell. But some people, that whole like go into the light type of thing, and every time I hear go into the light, I think Carol Ann, you know, from Jesus, I can't even remember the movie, but um that's the truth. Picture yourself being in a room. You wake up, you don't see anything. It's pitch black everywhere you go. You're like, where am I? And then all of a sudden, this beam of light comes down, vroom, and it starts moving around looking for you or whatever, and you don't know what it is. You don't know where you are, what it is, like what's going on. Are you going to be the first one to jump into the light? No.
Mhm.
You're gonna hide from it. You're gonna run away from it. And then after a while, when you run away from it, you've literally it it searches you for X, Y, and Z, can't find you or whatever it is. It goes away, and now you're stuck in the ether.
Mhm.
And then what happens is you get like people who are psychics, especially young kids, and then you're walking in the dark again. All of a sudden, you see this little pen light, white. What's that? And as you walk closer to it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it becomes a beacon. And you're like, I'm going there. And you go to that light, and when you come through, you're in some little kid's room, and they see that the half of your face that's still left that was blown,
Mhm.
the other one that was blown off. That's how it works, and that's how you get stuck there. So some people are stuck there by sheer fear of moving to the next level. They don't know to move to the next level. Other people get stuck here because people are lost without them and are so
Mhm.
connected to that source. A and B are so connected
Mhm.
that there is no way for them to stop their memory of you, the love of you, the connection of you. It is so overpowering that it keeps you connected to that person. I can't go anyplace. Uncle Fred's going to miss me.
Mhm.
How could I go into this light? And even though you may be trying to get to the light, they keep pulling you back. They constantly, like, I have a friend right now. His father died when he was a bit younger. Um, his brother just died a couple years ago. Then his mother died after that, and he's been helping her. I mean, he is lost, and all he keeps going this. Oh, my mom was the best, and my mom, my mom, my mom, my mom, my mom. Right? I miss you. I can't go forward. I can't. And I'm trying to tell him that in a ginger way. Your mother, your father, your brother, even though you guys were close, you're wasting your life being here, doing nothing but maintaining a grief state. They want you to live your life,
Right.
and they can't live theirs unless you start moving on. There's a
Right.
tether there. They're so grief
Mhm.
stricken, and they don't. All that matters is that. I mean, I've had people tell me similar stories to my friends, and they said they just want to die. And I'm
Mhm.
telling these people, I had a woman, I did a reading. I didn't charge for the reading, and because I wanted to help this person out, and I don't really I do it. I do charge, and there's also times I don't charge. Depends on the situation, circumstance, whatever. But I was trying to help this woman out, and as she's talking to me, she was in Canada. Um, a friend of mine from I do a podcast on Wednesdays called the Three Beards Podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern to 10. Right.
Cool.
I got invited.
I'll
I
be
got
sure to put that
invited.
in the link.
Yeah, yeah. I got invited in to be an official beard. I was a guest a couple of times.
I love it.
The guy that runs it, Craig, he's like him and the two other guys. Like they said, we want you to come on as officially as a co-host onto the program on the broadcast. And I said, sure, I'll do it. So I do it, right? And
Yeah.
I kind of lost my train of thought for 2 seconds there, but you know,
You were helping the lady in Canada.
right. Sorry about that. So she was the one. He was the one. Like, can you help this woman's? She usually has her dreams, and in her dreams, she can change the dream and have positive outcomes. But with this one, she's not right. So
Mhm.
I said, yeah, I'll talk to her. So I start texting her, messaging her, and I
Yeah.
said, listen, I can't just sit here and message you. Can I give you a call? I give her a call and message her, which is great, and we connect. She's telling me about this dream. It's her and her husband. Her husband just died. He had some kind of rare cancer, like spinal cancer or something really rare. He just died. That's the love of her life. They just lost their daughter a couple of years prior from brain cancer.
God.
Okay. I mean, horrible, horrible thing for this woman. And this was her second marriage. And and she doesn't want to live anymore and she wants to die. And she goes, normally I can, change the outcome of these dreams, but these dreams aren't changing. And I'm trying to tell her, I said, your love for him, and then I started seeing them. I saw her husband. He's a portly gentleman, double chin, hat, a like red plaid. I was gonna say like that thick not a chamois shirt. Is it a chamois shirt? The thick,
Flannel.
yeah, like a flannel. And his daughters and the daughter's there, and the daughter is a little bit heavier, and and they're watching her, and they're not happy. They really feel bad because they're together, and I'm trying to explain this to this woman, like your path in life, you could try to kill yourself. God's going to take you and put you right back where you were, and it's going to be twice as long until you see them again. You
Hmm.
understand? You have a path in life. You don't determine when you go out. God does. So
Right.
I'm trying to talk her off the ledge, and then I start, I can see these people, and the reason why I'm saying that's so you're so connected to people that that's not allowing them to really truly depart. Okay.
Right.
There is that tether there. It's keeping them there and almost handcuffing them to that, until you can finally cut the cord and I can go into the source, I like to call it, up to the
Yeah.
Kashrak or heaven, and I can be what I want to be.
Yeah.
Okay. And some people just don't want that to happen. They don't want it to leave. They love, I don't even know how I would deal with it. I thought it was difficult when my dog died. Um,
Hmm.
and it was like a child for us, the first, kid that we had. To lose a real child, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's just
Absolutely.
right. I mean, you understand as a parent, it's
Yeah.
horrifying. Like,
Yeah. But I wonder, like, if there's not a way that we could broach this subject with grieving people in a loving, compassionate way that will help them to see that that's what's best for this person that they love that they don't want to let go of, you know? Much like I watched in that, mini series, the mother didn't want to let go of the daughter, and that was part of why
I
she was still being tethered here. And
I didn't see this series, so I don't want to comment, and I don't want you to go
yeah, I know,
into
I
details,
know.
just in case your fan base is like, damn it, you gave it away. And Luke, your father is Darth Vader. I think we're both
Right.
past the time when I can give that away. But
Yeah.
so
And he totally said that.
like I said, my buddy I've known since we're probably 5, 6 years old, and I'm old now. And his parents are, and I know you're a very close family. There's an older sister, brother, then another sister, my friend, and they're really close. And my friend was, basically taken care of by his parents. Good kids. Some of the older ones left, and when you're younger in the pack, you're going to be more dependent on parents. When you're older, it's like, hey, baptism of fire, go get it. Like I have an older brother, so when he went through, did you have Mrs. Miller in third grade? Yeah, she's terrible, but she loves X, Y, and Z. Oh, great. And then you start doing that, you get on Mrs. Miller's good side because you had someone that an advanced scout,
Mhm.
right? When you have somebody that was so dependent and constantly being taken care of and constantly, such love and affection for them, they're never going to hear you properly. And you can try. I mean, I must have tried without becoming abusive, like in the response or brash in the response. There's no way you can nicely tell people you got to move on, cut the cord. You got to, you know, because they don't want to hear it. They're hurting at that point, and they'll
Yeah.
remain hurting because that person is so, they were so connected that they really don't exist anymore without them. You know the story of people that they were so in love with each other that the wife, passes away from something, and within a week, the husband just then passes away as well. That's how much they
Yeah.
loved each other, because you can't live. Not it's not from just doing the time and like, well, we've been married 50 years. It's like second nature for us. When people truly love each other, when there's somebody that truly loves somebody, they're
Mhm.
not going to cut the cord because they're so connected. So if
Mhm.
one goes, the other one will go. And I think once the other one goes, and then the cord will be, they'll bring them.
Mhm.
That will technically connect the cord. Um, I know I've been told by our psychic that my father didn't go immediately. He felt bad, and he's been around from his passing, and I never asked the psychic for our group Cindy anything. I don't ask her anything because I don't want to ruin a friendship by like, hey, what about this? Or hey, what about this?
Mhm.
She calls me up. She goes, your father's here. He's talking to me. And I understand why my dad would be talking to our psychic, because frankly, very good looking woman. Okay. I know how my dad would operate. And my dad kind of looked like Pavarotti. And she starts going into, all these things. He worked late. He should have been there for you, but he wanted to avoid your mother and, And after a while, I mean, she was boom, spot on everything. It was, that's why she does what she does, right? And she goes, well,
Mhm.
damn it. Am I right? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry about that. You're right about everything. You were 100% spot on about everything. I was just I'm not used to talking to her about that. I'm used to talking
Yeah.
about cases, not that, or just how you feeling type of thing. And she's spot on. So it's two different functions here. There are people that die that are so in love with that person and feel that I need to be there as their parent to protect them. They will watch over them, and they will not move from the tether until that person's safe. Then their person on the other side will do the same thing. But they're
Mhm.
like, I can't live without you, blah, 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 whatever. They keep you tethered like a rubber
Mhm.
band,
Mhm.
right? And if you understand, okay, so I just want to explain something to the people that are listening. And I'm sure your fans base know, but I want to understand the tether thing, right? So the tether is that umbilical cord you have to the records, the Kosh record, and from the earth to when you come down from heaven. It's literally it's like your umbilical cord. It's like a spiritual umbilical cord, basically. It feeds you knowledge and information. Some people
Right.
aren't paying attention to their spiritual umbilical cords, and that's why light workers are utilized. They're much more gifted, and they can connect and see these things. And a great way to feel, it's a way for your consciousness and your soul to get information and connect to the source, and
Right.
kind of like whatever. And so if you want to understand what the feeling of getting back, your tether, or going from the spiritual side of things back into the body, you ever have a dream that you're going down a roller coaster or an elevator and your stomach drops, that's you going back into your body.
Mhm.
That's you having an out of body experience where your spirit and everybody does it. Some people are more aware of it. That's when your soul and your consciousness leave your body at rest and float and do things. And
Yeah.
dreamland is, just dreams and strange stuff concocted throughout the day. Then there's also experiences. So when you go to bed, and the difference is, if you know all the details of your dream, you're having an experience. You're actually doing
Mhm.
this. There's
Right.
a big difference. Okay. And if it's really intense experience, when you wake up, you're gonna be like, God, I'm exhausted because you
Yeah.
really weren't sleeping. You were doing,
Right.
okay.
Right.
And you know all the details to it. I've had I have them all the time.
Yeah.
Um, Recently I'm going back in time in the way I see it, the way my visions work or when you get your information, I see it in my mind's eye and I just know it as if I remember a scene in the Blazing Saddles or a movie. I can see it play out. I know this, but I
Yep.
can smell things, touch things, taste things, right?
Right. Right. Me
And
too.
yeah, and it's so it's kind of hard. And people are like, what do you mean your mind's eye? I'm like, if I said that the color red, can you see it in your head? Yeah, that's your mind's eye. If I said
Yep.
the number 36, yeah, I can see it. If I said A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I'm like, yeah, I can see it because I can see it. I know what it looks like.
Hmm.
It's as if you've known it your own name, right? So that's your mind's eye. And lately, I've been doing stuff just before the big conflict in the Middle East. I got this. I'm getting interaction visions that were really, really bad, and all I kept hearing is, "There's not enough time. There's not enough time. We ran out of time." Not a good dreams or experiences, and I could tell you where I was in the scene. I could draw what I was seeing, this fire wheel in the sky. It was just, but I started also getting visions of past lives just recently. And
Good.
yeah, that's weird. That's really, really weird. And
You're gonna need that soon.
oh, I don't, well, how am I going to need that soon? Because
Well, because you have skills from all of those past lives that and knowledge that needs to be all, put into one compartment together now
well, yeah, I mean, I guess so,
for
but
easy access.
a lot of this stuff involves me and another party. And I know it's the same party. It's different time periods.
Yeah.
There's a Middle Eastern time period. There's a couple of those. There's a there's a French Revolution time period. There's a I want to say Nordic or Icelandic or Vikingish thing.
Right.
There's an
Yeah.
English one so far. And
So you're talking like a soul family type person, right? Someone that's
this the this is I this is the love of your life.
yeah, your true soulmate
What yeah,
kind of person. Yeah.
I know that there's different, like one of my friends that does card reading, she's like, "Oh, that's your twin flame."
Yeah.
And it's really bizarre. It's just the most weird
Mhm.
thing because it's I know the person in real life right now. I know who this is. I know who it is.
Awesome. Good for you.
And they don't know that. Very complex. It's not my wife, and that's the problem. For a lot of people, but that's what it is. But
Well,
sometimes you go through a life to you need to go through the hoop 1, 2, and 3 so that you
yeah,
understand where you're supposed to go. And it's because I never want to hurt anybody type of thing. That's,
absolutely. Yeah.
that's not how I
And
roll.
it's not always necessarily going to be
Right?
a romantic relationship that you would have with them either, So
This was, yeah, this was more on this was like, I don't want to live my
deep
life
love.
without
Yeah,
you.
deep love.
I mean, I thought I was in love a couple of times, but I can feel the feelings, and it's really weird because someone told me, you need you have a path in life, and when you surrender to the universe will take you on that path. A lot of people are going to get hurt. A lot of people aren't going to get hurt. And when you look back through all the trials and tribulations, when you get to your intended destination, to whom that may be, you will look back and go, "I'll do it again if I can get here again."
Right. To have
Okay,
that level of definitely.
which is it's a lot said than done. Okay,
Mhm.
because that's taking the long way home. No offense,
Yeah.
Supertramp, which is a great song, but that really is taking the long way home. And do I have this thing and whatever, but that's where it is. And I'll tell you in this, which is bugging me out a little bit because I'm just not used to that. But there are majority of it, I'm still male, she's still female. At other points, I'm female I don't see myself as female, but I know it, and that's a male.
Hmm. Right.
And there's the same characteristics for each one of them. And what's really odd is I cannot take my eyes off this person.
Hmm.
Cannot take my eyes. I'm just, I don't know how to,
Captivated.
beyond captivated. And you can, it's like connects here. I see here, and it goes, and the,
Yeah.
and then it spreads throughout the rest of the body. It's the weirdest thing in the world. So this is what's going on with all these things. So when maybe in the future, maybe I will need that. I don't know, but it's bizarre. But getting back to where we were with the tethering and all these other things, you have that type of connection with somebody, and
Hmm.
then you reconnect. It doesn't matter what happens in life.
Yeah.
You could be eating beans on the side of the road, no home,
Right.
no nothing.
Right.
And when they wake up and they realize, oh my God, that's great, because then you have two idiots that are like, yep, here we go, like whatever. There's fire everywhere. Who cares? We've got each other.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
Right. Like
and
I say all the time, my favorite thing to say about finding that one real flame, I'd rather live in a shack and have that kind of love than to live in a mansion and have none, you know?
yeah, I mean, like,
'Cause the material stuff doesn't matter.
someone was I was explaining it to a couple of friends, whatever. It's really complex what things have become these days. This is evolved over time, and when you surrender to the universe, I took the advice and I surrendered. And I know without a doubt, I've asked for personal. I'm very spiritual, so I believe in God. I'm not religious like that. I have
Mhm.
conversations with
Right.
God. I curse God a lot. Well, I used to.
I do too.
I'm
I'm
like,
very
what
candid with
the
God.
and I know that if this was like a cartoon, it'd be like, yeah, that Bryan guy's, I got him.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's a little upset with me right now, but I got him. Don't worry about it. And I thank
Yeah.
God, So but I ask, and I ask for signs, and he always gives me them. And it's not only just signs, it's backed, and a lot of them are animals based signs. They start out as animals.
Yeah.
That's how God will, that's how the spirit world
Me
and the
too.
Lord will connect to you. They'll send
Mhm.
you animals. Like if you're walking down a path and you see a feather, someone's
Yeah.
think that's someone you love, and they said, we're okay.
Mhm.
If you have a cardinal coming by, cardinal, it has to really be after. I'm personally
Yeah.
believe it's
The
just cardinal.
hawk.
Yeah, sometimes it's a hawk. That's a
Mhm.
loved one checking up on you. That's a loved one that's
Yeah.
they're able to be next to you and keep an eye on you while you go through life. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. There are signs, everywhere. I've had
Mhm.
signs. I've talked to other people about it. I said, this, and this. What do you think? He goes, yeah, you are being given signs, you're being led. You're right where you're supposed to be. And it's great when you get the validation and
Oh
then
yeah.
signs and synchronicities. It's just
I
some
love them.
people, yeah, well, it's great, but I'm awake and I'm aware of this, but I don't think, I don't know if this person's going to really get. I know without a doubt,
Yeah.
but sometimes people can be like, they don't, they don't, it's not reciprocated. And because they're not there yet to realize, oh my God, that was her. Or, oh my God, that was him.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
and because they're looking this way, I want this.
Right.
And true everything comes. Hey, we're supposed to, no, that's not me. This is where I am. And then what happens? You miss that.
Yeah.
People go
Yeah.
on, everybody dies. And then guess what? You got to do all that crap over again.
All over again. Yeah. Including
All over
school.
again. School, everything. And
That was the part that pissed me off the most was having to do school again.
well, yeah, no, that's I'm not big on that either. But
Yeah.
I always had that Bryan would do so much better if he only applied himself. And Bryan was like, why bother applying myself? I'm got like an 89 average.
Yeah.
Go get bent type of thing.
I I was always arguing that they were teaching things wrong.
We're gonna have your mother come in here. Please do. I'll
Yeah,
explain it to you
please
better.
do.
But yeah, yeah. No, no. I mean, it's just bizarre. Like I do I still question what I do. I used to call it remote viewing. Our psychic for our group, Cindy, she's freaking awesome. She's out of Arkansas.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, and she's like, I said, well, I do remote viewing. She goes, no, you're a psychic like me. And I'm like, no, I'm not a psychic like you.
Yeah, you're a psychic like her. You're just doing it different.
Well, yeah, I mean, she does the same thing. And I've
Yeah.
come to terms with that because once you exercise one, you know, then other things start happening. And then you
Yeah.
get, like I can hear things, I can feel
Yeah.
things, I can smell things and taste and touch.
Right.
The weirdest thing was I used to talk to a buddy of mine. I don't know if I've talked to about him on this. His name is Rob. And I met him at work. I worked for Credit Suisse, the banks. I used to work
Yeah.
on Wall Street a lot, right? Great guy, younger than me, but he went, we kind of like, I went one way, he went the other way, but we kind of reconnected and truly like a brother and family. You must have had people that you've met in your life that like, wow, we're like, this is like meeting a brother
Oh,
or a
yeah.
sister, right? And we
Soul
used to talk,
family. Yeah.
yeah, we used to talk the whole time, get into some esoteric stuff. He was very religious, or he became more religious, started praying during the C event, the 19 event, and
Okay.
and what was happening, he goes, well, sometimes when I pray, I feel this thing that comes over me, and just before it connects fully, I freak out and I stop praying, and I feel this vibration, and I'm like, Rob, because you're this close to vibrating higher, you're this close to
Yeah.
being where you should be. So you're trying to connect. See, what's happening is you're just about to connect brain, body, mind, heart, soul, and you break away from it. So then you have to start
Yes.
again, right? Then he tells me he's having these terrible dreams of he's stuck in a box and he's fire all around him and he can't get out and he's freaking out and he thinks because it's the 19 event and it's like I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. Maybe I said, maybe it is because of the 19 event. Maybe that's psychologically is in the back of your head and you're using that as a metaphor for whatever is going on. Long story short, we're talking. He's been coughing. I'm like, dude, go to the doc in the box. No, I'm not going to do it. And then this went on for like a couple of weeks. I'm like, Rob, you got to go. I said, I tell you what, if you don't go by tomorrow, I'm going to drive to your house. I'm going to drag your ass out. I'm going to take you to a doc in the box. Just go. If you get the crud, you get the crud because he was taking care of his older mother. He didn't want it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hear from him for a day or two. Find out his brother came in. He wasn't feeling well enough that his brother took him to his doctor. And the doctor looked and goes, you take him to the hospital right now. They took him to the hospital and they found lesions on his spine and his brain.
Oh my God.
Yep. And he's in the hospital and they're about to go aggressive because he's younger, he's under 50. And they're like, we're going to really go aggressive with this. And we were talking, texting. And the last message I got to him, um, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday evening. And I'm sitting there and he's like, I'm scared, man. And I'm like, oh, and I said, I know you are. I know you are, brother. But remember what you always told me, your faith in God will, and he was very faithful. He goes, I fear nothing because God's there. What is it? Fear no evil. I forgot there was some scripture lines. I said, you have good faith in God, God will take care of you.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then I didn't hear from him. And then that was early in the day. It was like 6 or 7 o'clock at night, whatever it was. Later that night, I get up my apartment, I'm walking out. And as I'm walking to go into the restroom area, I see out of the corner, it looks like I'm seeing my buddy Rob there. And he's just standing there. and I enough for me to go to look. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, okay, Bryan, no, 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 it's in the brain, right? So, um, whatever, he's not there. I go do my thing. 2 days later, or it was Saturday or Sunday, I get a phone call on my phone, and I got to be honest. If you call me on my phone, and I don't know who you are and your number, you're gonna hear my voicemail
Yeah.
until I, whatever.
Yeah.
And something said, pick up the phone, and I picked up the phone, and it was his sister, and I knew it. I knew it happened. But she goes,
It
said,
passed.
yeah, I just want to tell you, Rob made me promise to tell you, you were friends and really close, and I said, I knew it, but I couldn't tell her. I just saw your brother.
Right.
He stopped by my place and he gave me a little bit of smile so that, whatever. Then we go, they invite me to his viewing. So we're there and I meet his brother and his brother's wife and his mother. His father passed away from cancer a couple of years ago. And then I meet his sister and her kids, and it's a couple of friends of his. And there's a viewing. And if you've ever been to a viewing and you're not prepared for it, I'm fine with it. But they view the body there. And
Hmm.
I just telling his parents, it's nice to meet you. I wish it was better circumstances. Love you. I really love you, your son. He was like a brother. And they all said the same, like, he really talked highly of you. You guys had great conversations. I mean, for hours. We talked like 4 hours to the point where my wife's like, are you still on the phone with him? And I'm like, yeah. It was just really good conversations. So as I'm in the back, I'm kind of low, I'm like, I went out to have a cigarette and I'm like, you know what? When I come back up next in the area, because I do investigations where he was in upstate New York, I said, I'll always be able to, I'll stop by the grave and I'll just start talking to him. That's what I figured. And I come back inside and they said, and tomorrow, today's the last day of the viewing, the only viewing. And tomorrow we go to cremation. And I'm like, oh my God. And I said it. I went outside and I said, Rob, your dream you had was you foreseeing your cremation.
Yeah.
He was foreseeing the whole thing. And
Yeah.
it just blew my mind. So I'm connected to this guy. We're not family, but it's like, I miss him to death. It's really weird. And one day I'm walking into my apartment. I'm like, damn, Rob, I really miss you, buddy. I hope you're okay. And I hear him go, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. And I'm like, okay, I just heard that. I'm just made that up in my head. No, you're not.
Right. No, you
And I'm like,
didn't.
oh my God. And I call one of
Yeah.
my psychic friends and I'm like, this is what just happened. She goes, oh my God, you got Claire audio. And I go, tell Claire she can keep her fucking audio. I don't.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, but that's some of the stuff that you do. And,
Yeah.
and getting back to the people that I was helping, that woman from Canada, I literally connected her to her kid and her daughter and her husband. And I was able to have her break the tether to that because we're talking about tethers
Hmm.
because she was set on like basically killing herself. She tried to kill herself. I said, you don't get it. You're supposed to be here. She has some
Yeah.
abilities. I said, you should be doing presentations for people. You should have, I said, you need to start a YouTube channel. You need to start giving people positive encouragement. You'll get to see them. You'll eventually get there sooner
Yeah.
than you think, but not soon
Yeah.
enough for you.
Yeah.
And you can see, I mean, if you've done readings with people, they were like, they're nodding their head, like, yes.
Hmm.
And I said, you're going to get a sign from them in the next couple of days. It'll be a feather and a coin. And you're going to get these two signs and they're going to come out of nowhere. You're going to be in a place where like, there's no way in hell this should be here. And she felt a lot better. She felt centered and so far she's been doing good. And
Great.
in under 24 hours, she had two feathers and like a bunch of different chains and just appeared out of nowhere. She goes, they sent me this sign. I said so.
Awesome.
But that whole piece right there allowed her husband and her daughter to feel comfortable enough to break the tether, say she's
Yes.
good now, and they can go be good too.
Right.
That's, like you said, what's the nice way of saying it? I was trying to say it. I don't want to hear people want to kill themselves. You
No.
know, and a lot of the times all they need is a third party perspective. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't think of it that way. So you would have
Yeah.
heard all these people because you weren't thinking properly. So if I've done something, I've done something. But I wish there was a rock solid, like step one, hug them. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Step two,
Right.
cut the cord. If they're not gonna,
Right.
they're emotionally not gonna be able to do it or cut the cord. If they can't depart with the clothing in the room or the bedspread in the room for whatever
Yeah.
reason, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
You get hauntings from that. Because after
Right.
a while,
Exactly.
it's like, how can I get them to stop thinking of me? Let me scare the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk so long.
Oh, that's okay. No, but I totally agree. And that's what I'm thinking, like, maybe even a YouTube show where we do some grief counseling and just sort of talk about this a little bit with people and help them to become more aware that maybe they're holding their loved ones back, not necessarily being in somebody's face about it.
Right.
And rather than doing ghost hunting, go do, I don't know what you'd call it, ghost saving.
Well, I don't, I don't think of it as Elmer Fudd. I'm hunting ghosts. Um, you could do that because you use a certain product that would allow you to have a call-in number. You're allowed to do that. I think we're using Zoom. So
Yeah.
in that, you can have people call in and then you can help people like, would you like to be on camera? Yeah, okay. And you give them the opportunity. I think that would be great. I think my purpose in this life, I've decided is I'm here to help people make their lives better, to put them on the right
Hmm.
path. And my life's
Hmm.
supposed to suck, which it's.
No,
Yeah. That's sometimes
no,
it's like that. Um,
we're not supposed to be mortars.
no, I wasn't being a
No.
martyr. It's just, it's
No, your
it's
life is
like,
not supposed to suck.
no, I appreciate that. I mean, I've helped so many people. All I get from people is I used to get this a lot, like, John said you're a really good person to talk to. I'm like, oh my freaking
Yeah,
God.
I know. Right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no bar, no tip, nothing, and you're listening. And after a
Mhm.
while, you're like, well, my life isn't as screwed up as his, but Jesus. Um,
Yeah.
I think it would be a good
No,
idea
I get
if
it.
you want to do that. I would do it like this is the monthly, cut the cord meeting.
Right?
We're going to cut the cord and we're going to explain to you why.
Yeah.
Because I don't
We're
think
good at
there would be
ceremonial.
one parent that would want their children to suffer because they couldn't let them go and go back into, source, you know,
Right.
heaven.
I think if they understood that better, it would make it easier for them to let go. And they need to have a full life anyway, for themselves as well.
Right. I mean, because all
Right?
you're going to do is, right, all you're going to do is just, you're going to end your life quicker because you're going to stress out and all this other stuff. And guess what? You're repeating the third grade over again
Yeah.
until you get it right.
Yeah.
And after the 19th time of arguing with the teacher about, you know, Nixon's actions, for whatever reason, after the 19th time, you're like, oh God, when am I going to learn my lesson? And I'm sure there's
Mhm.
plenty of things like spirit guides, are saying. I can just picture some spirit guides going back and meeting it like at the spirit guides rec room, like the break room. Oh my God,
Right.
I got
Man,
this
my dude is
guy.
so
What an
bad.
idiot.
Yeah.
He
What a
never
hard
listened.
head.
Yeah, yeah. What an idiot.
Yeah,
Oh my, wine's
totally.
killing me. My back hurts. I gotta listen to their.
Yeah.
and it's
They're
easier said
like
than
me and
done.
you going, "Oh god,
Yeah,
somebody else to dump their problems on us,"
right. But
except
it's like
to the 10th.
turn right, turn right. Oh God, he turned left. You know,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know. I think it would be a great idea. I think that would be something that would be no one else is really doing it. I think it would be welcomed by a lot of people. That would be interesting. I would definitely give you props if you did that. I don't know what you would, call it. Um, Something I'm doing now, I'm doing more public readings now. I never did them before because I didn't want to come off as a Miss Cleo,
Yeah,
but I'm taking the advice of very select individuals and I'm doing more readings. And I don't always charge for my readings. Okay. It's, I normally get X. I'm not promoting it here. That's what I normally get. Do you charge? I'm like, well, sometimes I do, and it's usually this per hour, whatever. I'm
mhm,
not gonna, bother with you. If you want to do something, you can do it. There's some other people it's strict, like, yes, okay, it's this an hour, and
yeah,
$100 for the hour, and
yeah,
it doesn't go over that. You can go longer, but I think when you read somebody, because I've read people and they're like, oh, I'm going to come back Wednesday. I'm like, no, 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 don't do that. Don't. I need time. I need a sorbet. 99% of the readers out there, if they have somebody coming every day,
mhm,
you can't get enough information. Now, if you have, depends. As far as the personal life is concerned, you need to space in between before readings. So it should be at least 2 weeks. And then,
mhm.
because you as a light worker, you've got to like, oh my God, I got to clean myself from reading. It's
Yeah,
like I've
yeah,
had
because
some
you take
meetings
on
with
their
them.
energy.
Oh yeah.
Mhm,
And I have
mhm,
had people, I helped this woman. I'm not gonna mention her name because I don't know if she wants to, but she's very known. She has a bunch of books out. She's wonderful. She's gifted too. And a third party volunteered me one night. Bryan can do that for you. So she has a issue with her departed sister's home in Louisiana. There's something in there attacking them and trying to make an attachment. And
Oh,
this
wow.
person said you can do it. And I got there and I was like, okay. And this was late at night. And I was tired. So that's actually a benefit for me because it's easier to get into where you gotta be. And I
Mhm,
started going boom, 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 boom. And I said, go upstairs, you leave some milk and cookies, make a deal with them, say you stay up here and you got to go in the kitchen. That's the only safe place. And she tells me, well, yeah, that's where I keep the stuff and the sage. I'm like, yeah, that's why you'll be safe for there, sleeping in there. And totally helped her out. She came up at one point, and I'm like super friends with her. I was very friendly with her before. She was on our show on Three Beards, and I've known her from other things too. But we just connected. I'm like, oh my god, I know you from whatever. And she goes, I didn't like who is this guy and why are you being recommended? And she goes, I didn't believe this stuff. And then you were just going boom, right off the bat. You knew about the stairs, you knew where the room was, you knew what. She goes, how the hell did you do that? And I said, if I could tell you, we could probably quantify it and you can do it. This is how I
yeah,
operate. I mean, like
yeah,
I literally told her. And what's really great is she's on the phone doing this interview on another show with me on there too, because we're talking about the house. And I know where she's sitting in the house. I know it's alcove, and I know the creature, which is more, I'm going to say leprechaunish, right?
okay,
But some people say a bagger or Bogart, a bagger,
mhm.
And I saw him sitting there like kids in
Looking through the little stair
staircase,
rails.
and he's cursing the crap out of her. And I don't know if the cursing is allowed on this, but well, I'm going to do it. You
Yeah.
can bleep me if you want. Actually, I can probably bleep myself because I have a censor button.
You have a
Um,
censor button?
we put that
That's
in there.
great.
The show. Um, and this is exactly he was cursing the hell out of her, like F you, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, yeah, we named him. She asked for his name numerous times. He wouldn't give it. So we just call him fuck you. Because all he does is and I'm like, yeah, he doesn't like you. He doesn't want you in the house, you know. But I was able to help her out with that. And thankfully, because she's had a tough spread and you know,
Yeah.
but again, tethering, right? So this creature is ancient. This is an elemental. That's his house.
Mhm.
And you can't see these things.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but you get the effects of it when you start fighting with your spouse. Well, you started blah blah blah. That's all influential because they're messing with your tether. They're messing with who
Mhm.
you know.
Right. Messing with
Oh
your energy. Yeah.
God, yeah. You know,
Mhm.
and it's you know what? Ignorance is bliss in the paranormal.
Right. Sometimes it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go hang out by these chainsaws over here. That's a great idea. No,
Yeah.
don't go over there. The killer is right behind you.
Fun.
It's
Right?
just it's so much easier not to, and what's really interesting is you can be so ignorant of a situation and there could be you could walk into a situation where there's a black dark shadow figure entity trying to holding somebody up in the air and you don't even see it.
Yeah.
Why is it so cold in here? And like, oh my god, you don't see the demon
Yeah.
that's over there? Yeah, no, then they're not going to.
Yeah.
They're so oblivious. It's just like even like the devil be like, you're on the mic. Oh God, this guy's an idiot. You know, like forget him. Let's go to a different house. Like that.
Yeah.
But they're all tethers. This is like
Yeah. And
it's
that kind of brings me to another thing too. That's a good point because you actually just made me think of my recent ex-husband and his house and and how there's like a dark presence there, not to mention three other ghosts that are like family of his. But
right,
this dark entity is attached to him. And it's attached to him because of his low self-esteem, his constant drinking and being an alcoholic, and all this anger that he feels, all like that makes you an easy target to be tethered to for
yep,
any kind of entity that wants to be here, right? That feeds off of us as loosh, essentially.
right. And in that situation and in going back to the house, my friend said, well, there's a couple of spirits here. They know there's spirits there. And I said, yeah, they're female and younger spirits there. And he's attached to them. He controls them and he won't let them go because he uses their
Hmm.
energy. They get energy for
Hmm.
him.
Right.
And that's the reason why that, the dark force attached is never going to let him go because that's a food source. No
Yeah,
matter what else
absolutely.
goes on here, I got you. I got you.
And he's like totally oblivious to it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
He
But
like he
you know what would make him yeah, well, I don't know if you would do it. I mean, I was helping some other people out, and they thought it was a demon. Oh, it's demonic. I'm like, trust me, demons don't play games with people. Okay,
Right.
they
Right.
don't play games at all. I said it's not demonic. It's just you guys have so much negativeness in your individual lives that some of this is it's being brought on psychologically. But
Mhm.
there are certain things. The property's a little bit weird, and I told him, I said, are you, religious? Because it doesn't matter what religion you are, even,
Mm-mm.
Christian, Jewish, Muslim, whatever. And
Yeah.
he's Greek and she's, I think, Italian or something. And I said, what you want to do is I generally see them continuing on and having a great relationship. I said, but you need to get more spiritual in your life. You need to get
Right.
God is real. God's not a
Yes.
second thought or like, oh, I'll get to him later. God is real. Give God your respect and love, and God will
Yep.
shield you and protect you. I'm not a
Yep.
preacher on the side of the road. I am telling you the absolute truth. And we
Yes.
are living in a day and age where you better believe that you need God in your
That's
life
right.
more so than ever. Be
That's
it
right.
Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad,
Yeah.
Krishna,
Whatever.
whatever, the
Mhm.
Torah, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah,
get
because
right with your God. So I
we're
suggested
definitely
it
in
to
a
him.
spiritual
Oh, yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And I think your husband would, they would have
X.
benefited from X. Well, what I'm saying, he would have benefited for, he wouldn't, not going to do it, but I got them to, I call it Jesus Light or Christian Light. There's a lot of these
Mhm.
family churches popping up, like Life Church and, Family Church.
Right.
And I said, you go there. And first of all, you'll meet people. Second of all, it's not really preachy. It's just brings you some happiness and joy. And it's
Mhm.
what you need in your life. And if your ex would have gone to like a light church, he would never do it though. um,
No.
and no, that's not him. He would like not.
No.
I don't need that. The hell with that. I don't need that. But if he did walk through the door there, his whole entire life would change.
Yeah. Yeah. And I put my years of dedication into trying to help him to see the light. But you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make that some
Yeah.
bitch drink.
And you know what? Yeah, exactly. And the problem is when you're spiteful like that, you're only hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Spitefulness only hurts the person that's being spiteful.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
So if you think you're gonna, well, I'll show her my ex. I'll show her. She doesn't get. You should be lucky that she actually cares enough to continue to talk to you with this. Because
Mhm.
nobody else wants to. Nobody else wants to deal
Mhm.
with you.
Right.
Not one bit. Not one
No.
bit.
But
No.
but yeah, I mean there's people that, they can create tethers that way too.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I don't recommend just any Tom, Dick, or Harry going to haunted mansions to take the tour. Like if you're not good, like if you're not good within yourself, you probably shouldn't be frequenting those kind of places.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
um,
just my public statement warning.
no, I agree with you. I mean, if you really want to be smart, if you're going into the woods and you're hiking, you should sage yourself and say a prayer of protection. Every place
Yes.
you go, you should sage yourself, say a prayer of protection.
Yes.
100%, because you have no idea what's out there.
No. Right?
Not none at all. Matter of fact, one of my friends, he worked for the post office, and one of the guys that works with him at the post office, you investigate paranormal, yeah, whatever. And so they started talking about it. The other guy came from Africa. He's African based, and his son came, and he said, "Can I have some sage?" And my buddy was like, "What do you need that for?" I said, I got to go to a family later." He said, "Well, what's going on in the family?" He goes, "No, no, 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 no. We sage ourselves before we go into family because we don't know what the hell's going on in that house." Think
Right?
about that.
Think
You
about
go
that.
into somebody's house, you go into mom and dad's house, you go into your brother's house or
Yeah.
sister's house. You don't know they just had a damn argument, and that
Right.
negativeness kind of like it floats like a fart in the air. Pardon me, the
Oh,
expression.
definitely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of people like you and I'm sure you can feel it when you walk in a room. I can
all the
feel that
time.
energy,
Yep,
right? It's like
yep.
pea soup. It's thick as pea soup. I can feel
And you
it.
just like, we gotta go.
Yep.
But I started doing a little bit more of that. I started to make sure that I'm protected before going into most places.
Yeah.
When I meet people, and you know, I'll carry a spritzer, spray bottle,
Yes. Ah,
and
me too. I got
yeah,
mine.
well, I carry that, but what I do is I usually use it and I put alcohol in it so that
Yep.
when I touch stuff, I can disinfect my hands immediately for whatever. But
Yep.
sometimes I'll put salt in it in the water,
Mhm.
let it dissolve, and then some other times I'll put holy water
Yep.
and just
Yep, I
Yep.
have all of the above.
I
Yeah,
got my bracelets going right there.
depending on yep, me too. I wear mine,
Got my
my
copper
copper,
right now. I just
got
got
my
the copper,
copper on.
but this is important right here. This is a iron
We're
bracelet.
like twins.
Yes,
Iron.
this is an iron bracelet. You wear it on your left
Uh-huh.
wrist. Been worn on the
Iron
left
is good.
wrist since the beginning of time because you receive with your left hand, you give with your right. And
That's right.
evil tries to come in through your left, but with the iron bracelet, it prevents it from coming in.
That's right.
Go on Etsy and buy them. You can get them for like $15 and you're supporting an artist in
Cool.
the process. But yeah, you
Yeah, in
know,
the old days, they used to use the wrought iron fences around the yards.
yep.
And a lot of people don't realize that that was to keep the evil out.
Oh yeah. Oh
Hmm.
yeah, 100%.
Cemeteries too. Old cemeteries.
That would keep the evil out and in-laws out. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up this whole tethering thing. It's very interesting. You can go for hours giving different
Yes.
scenarios, but
And I know you have to go.
oh yeah, let me tell you. I apologize. It's just with kids and stuff. Um I could do like, if this was a Saturday night, I'd be like, yeah, okay,
Yes.
I'll stay on for 4 hours. You
Right?
want to stay on and talk for 4 hours? I'll talk for 4 hours.
Yep.
No problem with it. But I think tomorrow's Thursday. Actually, tomorrow's the 11th, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
January 11th is supposed to be a big day for a lot of things.
Really? Do tell.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like talking about a timeline or a portal or new beginnings. It's the 11 is a good time to set your intentions and for business and you know and write them down. And if this is past the
Mm-hmm.
11th, well, you missed it.
You missed it.
It's also the first,
Hmm.
I think it's the first full moon in the new year as well. So
Oh,
it's,
is that tomorrow?
I believe so.
I'm
I mean, I
usually
haven't looked
very
it up.
good about paying attention to the moon.
If I'm correct, it's probably around that time. Um, I can just go outside and probably almost be full. And if you want to cut, if you want your hair to grow in longer, cut it on a full moon.
That's right, because it's a root
Yeah.
crop.
Yep. It grows. Yeah. I don't do the wiki stuff and the witchy stuff and the but I know enough about. I have friends that do it, and I'll ask them if there's something weird on it. But you're supposed to set
Yeah.
your intentions like this is going to be a great year for
Okay.
me. Everywhere I go, a lot of abundance. Write it down and say like great year, made a lot of money on a daily basis, always receiving, you know, I mean, finding, thousands of dollars on a daily every day. I play the lottery, I win. I mean, life is good. Got a
Right.
great relation. You set that intention, you write it
Right.
down as it's happened, and you set that
Right.
attention. We're gonna
Because
go
that's
to
the
a
key.
new business. I'm gonna have be successful. Throw that out there.
Yep.
Universe is yours.
That's right. That's right. Because it's all about how we feel about it, like it's already happened.
Yeah.
And this is
I
supposed to
mean,
be a great year for Cancerians anyway. So,
really?
yes.
Someone else told me that. I was like said cancer, this is a great year for you. And I'm like, well, it's about effing time because
Right?
it
Yes.
sucks.
Yes. Like 18 years worth
Oh, more than that. And I'm
or
like,
more.
really? Yeah, well, yeah, a lot more than that. And I'm like, where the fuck is it my time?
I know.
It's
Right? This
there's a
is our
couple of
year, man.
I hope so. I
We're going to need
really
a
do
happy
hope so.
dance for New Year's this year.
Yeah, you know what? It's God. Oh God, I really hope they're right. But
Me
remember
too.
something, when even though when you get a reading from somebody, and they tell you like, oh, you're gonna be very successful this year, you just don't sit back on your ass, do nothing. Because
Oh, no. You
that's not
got to
gonna happen.
hustle.
It's fluid. The future's
Yep.
fluid. So it may be coming to you, but you like, oh, you're gonna sit on your ass. I'm gonna go here. Okay. I
Yeah.
had that to a client's doing that right now. I gotta go talk to him. and I've been avoiding talking to him because I know he's going to get angry at me, but whatever. Um, so you got to set, you got to go out and do your thing. And, if someone tells you you're going to win the lottery, it helps to buy the ticket.
Yes. And to
Okay.
believe it when you buy the ticket. Don't buy the ticket and be like, I'm probably not going to win. Because then you fucking won't.
No. Everybody's like, well, Bryan, that's your plan B, right? And I'm like, no, that's my plan A. I'm
Plan
winning
A.
one day. I know I'm winning this one day. Actually,
That's
I
right.
know so deep in I, it sounds crazy, but I've always known that one of me and one of the timelines or whatever is loaded. I mean, I know
Yeah.
I've always had money, like lots of
Yeah.
money, like obscene amount of money. But I
Me
don't do
too.
I don't do stupid things with it. And even if I had the
I
money
don't
now,
either.
I'm like, I'm always trying to help other people. Like, here, go buy. You
Yep.
need a car? Here you go. Let's go. You need health
Yep.
insurance? Here. It's a year's worth. Here, that's what I
Yep.
just,
When I funnel all my timelines down to this one, so that this one right here, so that I can be that rich chick, I'm
well,
going to
yeah,
have like community centers and healing centers and all kinds of things where people can get help.
this may be a double eight for me though. When you do the stuff with numerology and your name and your birth date and whatever, you get into a numbers. You
Yeah.
get to a bottom number, but I may be in an 8 year for me. Lifetime wise, my life is in an 8.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my lifeline. So when I end this, when this body is no longer needed, they call me back. I don't have to come back again if I don't
Hmm.
want to.
Do you know that every light worker I have talked to in the last 4 years has said that to me? They know that they don't have to come back again.
Yeah, someone was telling me how it's
Every
done.
one of them.
I had it written down, and I got to be honest. I've seen the shit on this planet. I don't think I want to be back here ever
Yeah.
again.
Right.
But I know
Yeah.
that
I don't think I wanted to come this time.
I think a lot of stuff. Yeah, I think I may have been. Well, they tell you like, well, you signed a contract. I'm like, kicking
I
and
know.
screaming. I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Somebody
Prove
forced
it.
me to
Bring
sign
it
that.
out for me. Take it out.
Yeah.
If you think about it, and you said, I signed a contract, we must have foreseen what was going to happen. So there's got
Yeah.
to be something that's going to be like, dude, that was all
It's
worth it.
good.
Give me
Yeah.
another beer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that is going to
Yeah.
happen. But good God, the amount of shit we've had to go through to get here.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. But for your mouth to God's, I want to find out more about that cancer thing and what's going on with it. I got
Okay.
to figure it out. Someone
Okay.
else posted, one of my friends,
Well,
she's a
maybe we
psych,
can do each
April
other's
something.
reading.
If you well, if you want me to, I mean, I can do a reading. I have no
We'll do
problem.
each
But
other.
but I forgot her. April's. Oh, Jesus, she's gonna kill me. She's known. She's on TV. Um, she posted something on there like cancer. This is gonna be the kick ass. She said a couple of different signs because it does apply to several other signs
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
and you go, this is your year. Like
Yeah.
everything is gonna work. And
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm an idiot. I don't want to hurt anybody in the process of me, whatever. So, but I don't think I'm
Yeah.
gonna
I
do
mean,
it.
I don't want to hurt people either, but at some point we have to like love ourselves enough to go after what feeds our soul, right?
Exactly what you said here. Bravo. Golf clap.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where I'm sick of being the ATM machine, the doormat, the whatever.
Right.
I need to take care of me.
Right.
If A, B, and C get hurt, not my intention, but if you get hurt, I'm sorry. I've
Yeah.
been suffering long enough where I'm like, I'm done being your doormat.
Right.
And that's when the Phoenix says, goes up from the ashes, and then shits
Yes.
on everybody as they're leaving.
That's right. Because your dues are paid and your karmic debt is done. And as long as you fully believe that and you're ready to release that, everything can open up for you.
Yeah, it's just, and that's what makes you a better person than everybody else and a good soul. So
Yeah. In a
all
good
I
way.
could
Yeah.
all I can say to everybody at the end of this is I wish everybody prayers, healings, blessings, recovery. Have a great 2024, but I'll probably be back. I think you'll ask me back on,
Absolutely.
and then
I will ask you
yeah, we
back.
got
You
some
know,
more coming
I'm
soon.
kind of
Yeah,
partial to you.
I appreciate it. I want my Beatles, like whatever
I
shirt.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it. We
So
kind of match.
yeah, there you
I
go.
got your colors on there.
I just my kids are like, Dad, what's your favorite color? I'm like, all of them.
I know, right? But I
I
like
just
bright
love
colors, don't you? You're a
I'm
Cancerian. I love like orange and yellow and
you
like
name it.
I love color.
I'm all about color. I do a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
artwork in color and bold and whatever.
Yes.
And I told my kids, and I'm not even interested. I said, if I get a new car, I'm gonna have it wrapped. Or if I buy my daughter a car, both whatever, when because my daughter just got her license and that's why I'm losing my hair. Not old enough to have, well, she's 16. I am going to get her a car and I'm gonna have it wrapped with my face smiling like I'm her dad. And I'm like,
Hilarious.
"Did your new car, sweetie?" And she's like, "I'm not driving that." That's what
Hilarious.
I did over. Yep.
That'd be great. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
on,
Blessings to you.
sharing your wisdom. Blessings to you,
Yes,
and have a great rest of your month. And
you do.
keep pushing for your changes.
Yeah. I'm going to be taking some steps soon, and it's tough.
I
It's
know.
not a security blanket. Trust me, I don't want to be in the blanket I'm in right now, but
I
I
know.
really don't want to hurt people. But
I know that.
I can't take any more of what I need to do. You know what I'm
And my
saying?
heart goes out to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Same back to you, and love your kids. They're great.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you very much.
You got it. Bye.
Bye.